Am I the antagonist for being more excited for my daughter-in-law's pregnancy than my daughter's? I feel terrible, but that's just how things are. I'm a 55-year-old woman, and my son, 26 years old, and his wife, 30 years old, announced to me over Thanksgiving that they are expecting their second child in 6 years. My husband, 65 years old, and I were incredibly happy because Jay, my son's wife, has endometriosis, and having children has been a struggle for her. They already have one 4-year-old son named Grayson, and my son has a 6-year-old daughter named Sarah from a previous failed relationship. Additionally, they have 2 adopted children named Tim, 8 years old, and Gregory, 7 years old, whom they were fostering. It's important to note that Jay was already a foster parent before meeting my son because she believed she couldn't have biological children, and these boys have no other family to be reunited with. They are a loving and happy family. My son is a successful businessman, and Jay is a hairdresser. They live very comfortably. On to the problem. My son and his wife announced their pregnancy. Jay was in tears and told me that they were expecting another son, and they planned to name him Dustin because it means thunderstone. And it felt like lightning had struck twice, giving her 2 healthy boys. We were overjoyed, and even my son was brought to tears. Then my daughter B, who always seeks attention, cleared her throat and said, "I'm pregnant too." 9 kids and counting. I was shocked. For context, my daughter is not financially well off, although she is middle class. She's always hoping to get on TV or become the next Kate Gosselin, as she often says. I congratulated my daughter, and she cheerfully responded, "3 more and I'll be catching up to you, Mom." I brushed that off and asked my daughter-in-law if she needed anything, essentially ignoring my daughter and her husband Kay's happy news. Looking back, I realized this was not the right approach. I should have acknowledged and celebrated my daughter's news privately. I shouldn't have always made my daughter-in-law the center of attention in every family moment. My daughter rolled her eyes and mentioned that Jay's fertility issues did not make her pregnancy any less important than her own. I agreed with her, but also explained that given Jay's history of struggling and suffering, including 4 miscarriages, not involving my son, this was undoubtedly a significant occasion. Kay then rolled his eyes and made a racist comment, referring to Jay's race, which made me lose my temper. I immediately asked them to leave while my daughter called me an uncaring asshole and a terrible grandparent. However, my husband, son, and daughter-in-law all sided with me, acknowledging that it was my son and daughter-in-law's moment, and I agree with them. But I can't help but wonder, was I the asshole in this situation? Should I have been more excited for my daughter? In this situation, I would say that you are not necessarily the asshole. It is understandable that you were more excited about your son and his wife's pregnancy because of the struggles they have faced with fertility issues. Your daughter's comment about having 3 more kids to catch up with you also came across as attention-seeking and potentially insensitive. However, it is important to handle these situations with sensitivity and recognize that everyone's joy should be acknowledged and celebrated. Instead of dismissing your daughter's pregnancy news, you could have expressed your happiness for her while also acknowledging the significance of the moment for your son and his wife. It is concerning, though, that your daughter's husband made a racist comment which crossed a line and justified your decision to ask them to leave. Overall, communication and understanding among family members is crucial to maintain peace and respect during such occasions. Am I the antagonist for lying to my friends about why my sister was homeschooled? I, 18 years old female, have 3 siblings. My brother Cole, 15 years old male, my brother Cedar, 13 years old male, and my sister Calliope, 13 years old female. I am currently a freshman in college and invited a few friends to stay over in our guest rooms from Friday to Sunday. We returned to school on Monday morning and took a bus to and from home. My friends spent Thanksgiving with their families, and they all live about an hour away from me in different directions. My sister Calliope is homeschooled due to an incident earlier this year. She was expelled from a private school after Cedar and a few of his friends reported her for bullying a transgender boy who is friends with Cedar. Calliope repeatedly used a derogatory term and her bullying was severe. I am embarrassed by my sister's behavior. Additionally, earlier this year, Cole came out as something, and Calliope reacted negatively, using a derogatory term towards him. Cedar is also unhappy with this situation, and he checks on Cole when this happens. Calliope's bullying of his trans friend has damaged their relationship. My parents attempted to get Calliope into therapy, but she refused to go. My parents decided not to force her and dismissed her behavior as typical teenage moodiness, asking us to give her a break. On Friday, when my friends arrived at my parents' house, my family introduced themselves. They met Calliope and my parents first. When one of my friends asked about her being homeschooled, she mentioned that it was due to bullying at school. I decided to support the lie and added a few details. Next, we visited Cole. After that, we went to the basement, where Cedar and his friends were watching baseball documentaries. One of my friends plays baseball at our school, and Cedar was excited to have a friend he could relate to. We watched a documentary with them. Towards the end, my friend spoke with Cedar and asked about school and if he had been bullied. Cedar was confused until my friend explained what they had heard about Calliope. Cedar and his friends did not hesitate to tell the truth. They explained what really happened to my friends, who became angry as the trans boy was present in the room. The boys were furious that we had lied and called out my sister's transphobia and homophobia. My friends were very upset about my lie, and even threatened to leave and not stay at our place. I convinced them to stay, but they insisted that I needed to rebuild their trust. I am conflicted about whether I did the right thing. I thought I was protecting my sister and saving myself from embarrassment, but seeing my friends upset and witnessing Cedar and the other boys' reactions to talking about Calliope make me question my actions. Am I the asshole? While you may have been trying to protect your sister, lying to your friends about her actions was not the right approach. Your sister's bullying and bigotry are serious issues that should not be dismissed or covered up. By lying, you enabled her behavior and allowed her to avoid taking responsibility for her actions. Your friends have every right to be angry and upset with you for hiding such important information from them. It is important to prioritize the well-being and safety of others, especially in situations involving bullying and discrimination. Instead of trying to protect your sister's image, you should have focused on addressing and challenging her harmful behavior. Supporting your trans friend and holding your sister accountable for her actions should have been your priority. Furthermore, your parents' lack of action and dismissive attitude towards your sister's behavior is concerning. It is essential for your sister to receive proper counseling and education on the impact of her actions. By allowing her to continue behaving this way without any consequences, your parents are failing to address the root issue. Moving forward, you should apologize to your friends for lying and failing to disclose the truth. Take responsibility for your actions and assure them that you understand the gravity of the situation. It is important for you to support your trans friend and challenge your sister's harmful behavior, even if it means confronting your family. Am I the antagonist for not being happy that my parents invited my son to my welcome party? I will try my best to make this text easier to understand. If there are any questions, I can answer them. When I was 21, I received a scholarship to study in Japan. At that time, I found out that a girl I was casually seeing was pregnant. We were not in a committed relationship and I didn't want to have a baby with her, especially because I wanted to go to Japan for my studies. I asked her to have an abortion since neither of us wanted the baby. We had discussed abortion before, so I knew she was open to the idea. However, she decided to keep the baby. I told her that I didn't want to be a father, but I agreed to fulfill my responsibilities when the baby was born. I had to cancel my trip to Japan and find a better job to support the child financially. My parents also helped me out, so I moved in with them. It was a struggle, but I managed to graduate from college. I still had the desire to go to Japan, so when one of my former classmates moved there to work, I asked him to inform me if there was any job opening at his company. In October 2019, I got a job and relocated to Japan. Due to COVID-19 and the demanding nature of my work, I haven't been able to return to the US. I've been focused on my career and sending money to support my son. Recently, I had some time off for vacation and came back for Thanksgiving. I arrived a week before Thanksgiving, and my parents organized a welcome party with our family and friends. They invited my son and his mother, as they had become close to them during my absence. While I have no problems with them, we don't have a particularly close relationship. When I went to the backyard where the guests were, I greeted them both, but it felt awkward and we didn't talk much. Once everyone left, my parents confronted me because they expected me to be much happier about seeing my son. This led to an argument, and now my parents are upset with me for being distant. I don't understand why they expected me to be more joyful. I don't know my son well, and he didn't seem overly excited to see me either. However, my parents are still upset, so I am seeking an outsider's perspective since my friends are siding with me, although they might just want to avoid arguing with me. Was I in the wrong here? You were upfront and honest about not wanting to be a father, and made it clear that you would fulfill your financial responsibilities. You made sacrifices to provide for your child and went as far as canceling your trip to Japan to ensure that you could financially support him. It is understandable that you may not have an emotional connection with your son, considering the circumstances. It seems like you tried to be cordial and engage in conversation at the party, but it didn't go further than that. Your parents' expectations of you being happier about seeing your son are unrealistic. It is not unusual for relationships with children you are not actively involved with to be somewhat distant. It is essential to have open communication with your parents and explain your perspective to help them understand your feelings. Am I the antagonist for not giving my mom $6,000 for her elective surgery? My mom asked me for $6,000 for her tummy tuck, and I said no, but now I feel guilty. She has 4 adult children and had her oldest, me, at age 16. She is 51 years old and has had a hard life when it comes to finances. Since I am the responsible one, she always comes to me when in a pinch. She found out last minute that insurance won't cover her tummy tuck. She lost over 100 pounds 2 years ago and is dealing with a lot of extra skin that is making her uncomfortable. The reason I said no to lending her $6,000 for this is because she still owes me $6,000 from 2020 that she has never paid back. She brings this money up often and says she will start paying me back, but she never does. She claims to always be financially unable, but somehow has the money for new tattoos and other new things. I have never brought up the money to her. I have been very patient with her about it. In the past year, She has borrowed $3,000 for a down payment for a brand new car, which I was promised she would pay me back in 2 months, but it took her a year. And she has also borrowed $1,000 for her bill, which she also promised to pay back right away, but it took several months. As I said previously, she still owes me $6,000 from 2020 because she couldn't work and needed the money during the pandemic. That is fine and well. But since then, I have become a stay-at-home parent, and my spouse is our only income. We do not live lavishly, but we have enough to pay our bills and some extra to buy things we want and need. When my mom asked me, I had told her no and informed her I didn't have $6,000 in cash. She asked me to put it on a credit card, and I again told her no because she still hasn't paid me back from 2020. She pleaded that she would pay me back as soon as possible. I told her that it puts a lot of stress and pressure on me and my marriage when she borrows money from me and does not pay it back when she says she's going to. She still continued to tell me she would pay me back ASAP. I told her no and that she needed to find another way. She told me I was her only option due to her having a low credit score, and that she knew no one else that could lend her the money. I feel extremely guilty for not giving her the money because I know how much she wants this tummy tuck and how uncomfortable she feels every day with all the extra skin. Am I the one at fault for telling her to find another way? Should I have given her the money and hoped that she would have paid me back in a timely manner? You are not obligated to give your mother the money for her tummy tuck, especially considering her track record of not paying you back. It is reasonable for you to prioritize your financial stability and the well-being of your marriage. It sounds like you have been patient and understanding with her in the past, but she has repeatedly failed to honor her promises to repay you. It is not fair for her to continue relying on you as her sole financial support. She should explore other options and find a way to finance her surgery that doesn't rely on you.